Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Avenue A. I'm your host, Kelsey Bentz. And for those of you who are joining us again, welcome back. Happy Friday. And for those who are either tuning in for the first time or maybe tuning in on the replay, welcome. Avenue A is a platform that I created shortly after graduating from college to stay connected with fellow artists who are in the industry and making it through the pandemic in our current moment. So welcome. I am so excited for today's guest. I can't even explain it to you, so I'm just going to jump right into her introduction. So today I have the honor of chatting with Broadway's ALICE Ripley. So a little bit about Alice. She's a Broadway veteran, obviously a Tony Award-winning actor. And when the pandemic hit, Alice needed to adjust her mode of expression, so she began painting designs and putting those creations on garments and other items. Alice earned critical acclaim and won the Best Actress in a Musical Tony Award and Helen Hayes Awards for her work as Diana in the Pulitzer Prize-winning rock opera Next to Normal. Ms. Ripley received Tony and Drama Desk Award nominations for her work as conjoined twin Violet Hilton in the cult hit Sideshow. Alice has been in 7 original Broadway casts. She has worked on numerous TV and film productions, including her role as Kathleen, Sophia's mother, on the Netflix half-hour comedy Girl Boss. She's an accomplished musician and has written and produced her own music. Recordings include Daily Practice Volume 1, Out of Sight, Ripley EP, and Everything's Fine, as well as numerous Broadway cast and compilation albums. So I am so honored to welcome Alice onto the show.
Oh
Hi,
my
Alice.
gosh!
Oh my gosh.
I've got my look going for you.
Yes. Oh, wow. Those are all your designs?
I hope I don't get in trouble for appropriating the Asian community or the Japanese. Yes,
They're beautiful.
I painted this geisha, that's what I call her, and I
Wow.
ended up putting her on a mask, and I get a lot of compliments on this, and because I started this thing because I wanted to find some gloves, and
Yeah.
I want to bring back wearing gloves. Anyway, thanks for having me. I thought that
I
would be a
love
great
it.
entrance, right?
It's such a great entrance. Yes. Thank you so much for being on the show. It's an
You're
honor
so
to have
welcome.
you.
Oh, Kelsey,
Um,
I'm excited to be here. You look beautiful. I'm happy to
Thank
be a part of
you.
your show, and this is really, I think it's worthy cause, a worthy subject, how we're going to spend
Yeah,
our time. So
I
yeah.
think so too. Thank you. So before we jump into, the interview, I'm really excited about your new clothing line. I know we were talking about it a little bit before we went live, but can you share a little bit about, what caused you to, start making these garments and sort of what that does for you?
You know what? It's been incredible. A friend of mine gave me a Samsung tablet because I have a Samsung with a stylus, my phone. And it comes with a stylus. And I just started drawing some paintings. There's a drawing program on this called Samsung Notes, and
Yeah.
it's like having a vast array of brushes and any color paint you want. There's no cleanup, and you can erase things. Digital media is kind of great. So I
Yeah,
started drawing, and I think I was looking for some gloves because I want to bring back wearing gloves.
I love
Why
that.
not, right?
Yeah, why
And I
not?
decided that it would be just as economical and more fun and kind of more adventurous to make my own. And so I did. And that's what it ended up being these. I painted this geisha.
Yes.
And on the other side is I guess it's like an cherry blossom or an orchid, or I don't know what it is. But
Yeah, I see that.
um,
Beautiful.
so I launched this. It kind of launched itself a couple weeks ago. This thing where I take a piece of art and I put it on a garment or a product. This
Wow.
is a photo of a painting I did on a canvas. It's actually right over there. I can't reach it right now, but it's a red and white kind of chunky acrylic paint, and I
Yeah.
took a photo of it and I put it on this wraparound dress, and I just love it. It's really comfortable, and it's really neat to wear something that you made yourself. I didn't put the
Yeah.
garment together, but it's neat that it's a photo of a painting that I made. There's something about that really gets me excited.
No, yeah, as it should.
The
I'm excited
process.
just listening to you talk about it. Yeah, it's like it's very I don't know what the word is, but it's like taking ownership over your own clothing. It's like you are wearing, your own artistry.
I don't know about you, but I've spent my life kind of looking at my closet going, wanting more.
Yeah.
Really, this isn't just a spiel. Like this is really me. Like, I love to shop and I love clothes and I love to switch out and try new things. But I've always kind of felt like, wanting more because the stuff that you really want is usually out of your range, no matter what economy you're in at the time.
That's the
Sometimes
truth.
$50 is too much.
Yeah.
So, oh no, what happened to my light? My light just went out.
No, it did.
Oh shoot. Oh, it's coming back. It's going to come back. Hold on. Oh, what happened to it? I'm so sorry.
It's okay. This is the spooky
I think
Halloween
I just
episode.
I just lost power for a second. It should
boy.
come back. I don't know why it's not. Oh, that was really weird. Well, I know I've got a lot of connective devices down here that if I move my foot and I jiggle a little cord out of its socket, something. I'm sorry. It's Halloween,
and
right?
blackout.
It's Halloween. I've tried to make some Halloween designs, but I just can't look at orange and black that much. It's just.
I know.
I'd rather do, Hanukkah or Christmas or whatever. But, it's very Alice, Kelsey, to start out with something that's practical. It's practical, like one of these gloves. And we all need masks. I think it's important to keep wearing them. I think it's kind of beautiful that the mask requires you to be humble and quiet. Maybe there's something to that
for us.
Maybe.
I think, yeah.
So anyway, that's how it started, and I'm happy
great.
that my friends and fans and supporters have been happy to, make purchases from me. And when you do, you're buying an original design, and you're buying an actual usable garment, or like a rug or some sheets or whatever that are usable. But it's art, and so maybe that's what we need right now. It's kind of a good niche. It seems to be working. So. Thanks for having me on and letting me talk about it for a few minutes.
Oh my gosh, of course. Thanks for sharing with us. And for those of you who are watching who are interested in checking out Alice's stuff, I'm going to link all of her where you can access it at the end of the episode. So stay tuned for that. So, we're talking a little bit about the pandemic, and that's sort of like, the current moment for everyone. And it's tough for artists, I think, in a lot of ways. And we're all having to sort of like redefine what our artistry is or what we do with it in this moment, because you can't do, traditional theater in the way we did before. So I'm wondering, what piece of advice would you give to an arts student who is graduated or graduating soon into this current moment during the pandemic? Like, what would you tell them?
I would say this is the time to invest for real. Like if you ever really were going to get your roots deep, this is the time to do it, because these are the days to remember, that Billy Joel song.
Yeah.
These are the days to remember, 'cause they will not last forever. I mean, look, I don't care. People can Google my age. I'm 57 this year. I haven't reached that yet because of my birthday's in December. So one of the things that's great about aging, because aging, it is true, it is a drag getting older in so many ways, just like Mick Jagger said or the Rolling Stones said. It's a drag getting older, but there are advantages if you focus on them. And one of the things is you have experience and you can see the algorithms of life. Like you can see that, boy, I'm glad I didn't jump off the bridge when I was 35, because things are kind of great right now. Yeah. And that's what that it gets better means. It means listen to your elders who have survived, because everybody is going through a human experience, like now more than ever. So if you're a young artist and you're worried, don't be worried. Like get excited, because this is the stuff that's going to make all the good art that you make for the next 30 years. Ooh, so your job right now is, we have to survive. We have to cope. We have to make our rent. It is just like that show, Rent. Right. It's like, even for me, Kelsey, at my experience and my age, it's about, can I make my rent this month? Because New York is ridiculous rent. It's all about that.
Oh, yeah.
And if you can make your rent, guess what? You're rich. You don't need to be Donald Trump or whoever. Yeah. You're rich. Like you've made it, because you can pay your rent, because there are people that can't do it. And, there's nothing in between, unfortunately. So I really hope that people vote blue. I'll come right out and say it. That's the right color, right?
Yes.
And it'd be funny if I said the wrong thing. Mostly because, get your ego out of the way. You really need to think about if you can't think about somebody who's a stranger, think about your family, your kids, your mother, the people that you love, yourself. Mostly it's not about politics. We need a change. So, we need to implement that change, and that's very important. So that's my little spiel for that. But it's important for the young students who are starting out in art and art school and design and acting and directing and writing, take it from me that this is your time to dig in. Whatever that means. So for me, I found this whole other, believe me, I didn't even know that I didn't even paint until I was in my 40s. I didn't do anything but sing. Okay. Wow. It's not unusual to do that. So, and that's okay. It's okay. And it's good. And then at some point you'll feel like just obsessed about playing games on your phone or designing stuff like I've been doing, or drawing, or doing something you don't normally do. And my advice is to this is it, like, go for it. Do everything you can to structure your day, meaning your life, so that you are free to go with your whim, because that's what it's going to take right now. Because you think Bob Dylan thought about what he was doing? Hell no. I really don't think he did. He thought about it at all. If he thought about it, he would have chickened out, because he's not, John Mayer, let's face it. But look how incredible of an artist he is. He's inspired so many people, because he basically said, like Tom Cruise in Risky Business, so you go for it. Mainly don't judge yourself. You might find yourself doing these repetitive things you don't know why, and nurture that artist like it's a young child that you're holding the hand. You're holding the hand of this young child, that's you. Yeah. And give it everything it needs. And you do have to sacrifice. You didn't think the answer was going to be this long, right, Kelsey?
No, I'm loving it. I'm so enthralled. Yes.
You will have to sacrifice. And so if you feel like you're missing out, that's right. Then you're doing it right. Because, you're not going to feel like you're quenched everything, because that's not the path that we choose. Right. And we don't really choose it. It chooses us. So, you make the most of it. Yes, you're going to feel always dissatisfied. And if you just remember that Alice always feels dissatisfied too, I really mean it, because I'm not getting paid to do this. I can say whatever I want. Yeah. So, I'm getting paid just by being in your company, Kelsey. Oh. So I'm going to give you a chance to ask me another question now.
Okay, so that answer was truly mind-blowing, and there was so many little nuggets of gold that I'm truly
You're like, I have to go back and watch it later to even understand what you said.
I'm gonna rewind. But it's I think you're so spot on that right now is both about resilience, just not giving up, but also the balance between pushing on, but then also nurturing ourselves, because it's hard.
Oh, that's it. Yeah. That's it, because I really think I can speak for everybody, right? Maybe I'm just too egomaniacal, but we do this because we're looking for a home, and we're looking for satisfaction. Now, when you realize that your home is in your heart, and actually everywhere you hang your hat, in my school anyway, and the satisfaction will never be there, it takes the pressure off a little bit, because our job really is to be relaxed. That's a tall order, especially right now, to be relaxed enough to just be yourself. Right. Or maybe make somebody laugh, or maybe follow an instinct that otherwise you would judge or feel afraid of. Yeah. And it is about jumping from medium to medium. It's so much about that. If we're going to talk about being a young student and going through this, you're about to graduate, or next year you're going your hopes are dashed, and rightly so. Yeah. And it feels personal, because nobody else is. I don't think anybody else is really going through the same kind of vocational massacre that we are. And by the way, there are millions of people in the arts that are arts workers, and there are 50,000 coal miners or something. I'm not putting them down. I'm just saying, let's get perspective here about what keeps people alive, literally. Right. Yeah, the signs at the MTA, the signs that tell you what to do and how to be careful and what to be aware of. a graphic designer designs that. Just because it's a graphic designer doesn't mean that person's any less of an artist. If
Right.
anything, it's more so.
Right.
Because, you are practicing your art probably on a daily basis for the MTA, which is more than a lot of artists can say. And we do want to get to the point where we can say we're practicing our art. But the way that we do that, I think, is to just do it. You make your own work. You don't wait for somebody else to hire you. Yes, we want that. But the history has shown that people get hired more when they're already working.
Right.
So work, make your own work. Look, Lin-Manuel he gave me the perfect example from now until the rest of my life. Because he took 10 years to write Hamilton. And you think he didn't make sacrifice? I picture him doing that Amadeus thing where he's like, in the middle of the night, his wife is going, will you please come to bed? And he's like, I can't, I'm fixing this song. And she's like, she's got a baby. I mean, the great thing about him is that he's real. So, I mean, I'm sure his family's like that too. And so, there you go. There's your example. I always say to my students, write your Hamilton. I say to myself, meaning whatever your show is, that's going to take 10 years. And believe me, 10 years is nothing when you look back on it. It goes back by like that so fast. And you can say, yes, I'm Tom Kitt. I took 10 years to work on Next to Normal until it won the Pulitzer. I mean, I don't know how long Jonathan Larson worked on Rent, but I'm sure Jonathan Larson was workshopping and working on Rent for a long time, not just 6 months or a school semester or whatever. So that's a mindset to get into now. Use this time when we're being still and quiet to be appreciative of that and to be grateful. And believe me, I know it's not easy. I'm not trying to sound like I've got it all figured out. It's far from the truth. So I'll give you a space to ask another question.
Thank you. No, thank you for sharing that. I mean, we're getting so many comments
oh, good. I'm glad.
Pearson says, I feel like she's taking me to church. Preach it.
That's how I'm feeling. I'll have a little sip of wine.
Hi, Pierce. Hi, Dale. Love that. I love it too. So, okay, Alice, something that I have literally admired you for since I discovered
since you were 2.
Since I was a child, is your individuality as an artist and seemingly as a person. I've never met you until this moment, but that's what I've always sort of seen in your work is just this like grounded, unique individuality. So how have you maintained your individuality as an artist in an industry that I feel often rewards sameness?
That's a really nice compliment. Thank you. Because it's just what that question does is it acknowledges, it validates you. And, there's nothing to be ashamed of to say that we have needs. And one of the needs is to be validated. We need our audience. It's not because we're needy or because we made a wrong life choice. No, it's because it's part and parcel to what we do. If you make a piece of art, don't you want somebody to be affected by it? Of course you do.
Yeah.
Whether that art is a speech, a song, something on canvas, something on a screen, your own conversation,
right?
The way you conduct yourself when you work in a restaurant, waiting on tables. I mean, really anything can be an art. It's just we want to go further we want to go deeper than that. Like regular civilian people. They really don't have to. I mean, I advise everybody to do this, but we have to do this and other people don't, which is feel and deal with stuff. And that's what I think that phrase, suffer for your art, means. I don't think it means if you're an artist, you are going to suffer. You are going to sleep on couches and be broke. I don't think it means that. I think it means you have to deal with you. Good luck with that, you guys. I'm always available on Instagram. Write me messages and I'll be there to listen. Because everybody is human. Nobody is a robot. Even if we want to sometimes believe that. And so we all have to untangle this tavern puzzle. We have our own thing to untangle, and we're all handed different tools. And you just have to make the most of it. That's all. And part of it is really asking for help. And knowing that you're not alone, and that feeling of that fire that can never get enough wood, that You know, like you're not alone, and it means that you're doing it right. So get up and do the work. And yes, we do have to think about things like how to monetize something that's real. But at the same time, that comes when you go back to the work. Like if you're in a corner, you're like, I don't need to pay my phone bill. I can't think about drawing. That's exactly when you ought to draw. And it's easier said than done. I have goosebumps right now. But if you can just do it for 10 minutes, any kind of practice, anything, eventually you'll find the ones that you're doing that you like, and you know, you'll start to do them more, and hopefully they're the things that you're not that good at, because then you'll get good at lots of things. But that's something to challenge yourself with. But you know, let's say it's playing piano or working on a script or working out or meditating or you know, cooking for yourself, keeping in touch with people, finally doing that thing that you didn't want to do, go to the post office or whatever, you know.
Oh my gosh, yes. Right.
And so like if we can take care of business day to day, and we remember that, as Brene Brown says, you'll never get it done and you can't get it wrong. This is very amazing wisdom that we all need to tuck away. Like that never goes sour on you. It will always be true. And it's a great liberating axiom to just remember that she said it, and I quoted her, you can't get it wrong and you'll never get it done. And, you know, whether or not you want to believe it, if you start to kind of like repeat that to yourself, you'll start to understand that it's true. Because the world is spinning. Yeah. It doesn't ever stop spinning.
And there's always the next thing that you're doing, or the next thing that you're going for, or the next goal you're pursuing.
And can we live for right now instead of, I mean, we've all done it where we can't wait for the weekend, where we can't wait for 3 more days when this person gets home, or 2 more days when we hear about this audition, or 1 more day when that package gets here. Yes, it's good to have delayed gratification and anticipation and surprise and all that. Yes, I'm not saying don't do that, but don't live for the weekend, like really, even if it's just a day, even if it's just an afternoon, whatever it takes to cut through that. If it's like, I can't get this audition, the self-tape in by 11, they're fucking crazy. I only have 24 hours. I need 6 more hours. Ask for it, because you'll probably get it. But we are taught to be quiet. Yeah. Until we have something incredible to add. And I'm here to say, no, ask questions. Ask for help. You'd be amazed how people are, because, you know, I was raised in the Midwest, and sometimes people say I'm Helperton. Sometimes I forget that there are people that want to help me just as much. Like they will drop everything and come over and help me do something. And it's not even that I don't want them to. It's that sometimes I forget to ask. And if I don't ask, you know, they've got a whole ton of stuff to do. So, you know, they're not necessarily going to think about asking me if I need help.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you ask them, then they're like, oh, of course.
And I'm talking about time, money, a shoulder to cry on, somebody to help you get through a tough night, you know, practical stuff like, will you print this for me? I mean, anything. Yeah. You know, and you'd be amazed at how then you'll find yourself in a circle with 5 people around you who are more than not like you, where they want to help too, but you do have to ask them, because people can't read minds. They still can't read minds. Someday.
That's true. And it's hard to ask for help. You know, I think
it is.
Yeah. I don't know, maybe not for everyone, but I know for me, it definitely is. And I sometimes forget that people are okay with me asking for help.
Well, do you love to help people?
I do.
So like, just imagine that there are people that just love to help people, and you're the one that comes to ask for help, so they will help you. So in a way, it's funny, if you take away the personal attachment, it's easier to ask for help, because you figure this person would help anybody. So you can ask that way. You're not really putting them out. And it is about anything you need help with. And so, you know, especially right now, we might as well talk about money, because you have to have money to survive. You got to pay your bills. No matter how frugal you are, you need some money to live. Yeah. And so unfortunately, there's no reason why we can't have that. We can have that. And it's about seeing the work as most important, I think. I mean, it's not like I have it all figured out, but when you're trying to figure out how to market something, unless you're into marketing, go back to the work. Just make more paintings, make more poems, because it is true that do what you love, and somebody will go, wow, can I look at that? And that person happens to have money they want to invest, or they help you by talking about it, or they help you by giving you constructive criticism. And so the pandemic is going to make us feel like we're isolated. And one of the other keys that I haven't mentioned yet is to collaborate and help other people by saying, gee, I need somebody to record a piano track for me because I can't work with a live accompanist anymore and I want a piano track. Right. Maybe I can find somebody I can give $30 to do that for me. And that's why Venmo is so amazing. I love Venmo. I'm with it. I'm with it. The younger generation.
Alice is on
the Venmo thing.
Yes.
No, it's great. It's like, it's like they just drop it right there, and you can keep the money in Venmo for a while and look at it.
I know.
And it can be your own little savings account in a way.
It's fantastic. You just kind of look at and you forget about it, and then you go back to Venmo and you're like, oh.
It's great, isn't it?
There's the gift.
And I like seeing my friends, like Keaton Whitaker's always telling me she's like paying her friend back for like something she bought for the apartment, or like yoga. I can see what my friends are up to. It makes me feel like I'm with the younger set, Kelsey. So thanks.
I love that. You're
doing my
Alice.
Ego. Good job.
Yes, I love it. And so what you were saying, I mean, just about just doing, like working on your art and just always going back to the work. I think that's the key to that individuality sort of question. It's like your art is you. So as long as you're staying true to what you want to do or what you want to work on, you can't really stray from that, I think.
You're so lucky. That is it. That's the bullseye. Because think about David Bowie. Yeah. How he died. He died after he died at the end of his life. He recorded an album that was about his death. His last video was kind of like you got to see him dying. I mean, to me, he's the ultimate performance artist. I mean, it's just like the legacy that he leaves behind is you get to see his body of work, and he didn't stop because he got sick.
Yeah.
That couldn't have been easy, and he didn't do it by himself. The other thing is when you see somebody standing in the spotlight, I mean, probably even this tonight, Kelsey, getting this format going, you had more help than just me showing up probably to get this going. It's but that's where the magic comes in. So to me, I look at what David Bowie did with his life, and it's beautiful because he devoted it to performance art. And I think there's something to that. We just have to be careful about not performing all the time, to be real. And then you go back to the work and make work. And then when you go back to sing a song, you come from a real place, if you can. Even if you're Freddie Mercury or David Bowie, you're still coming from a real emotional place, even though you're wearing like a unicorn outfit or whatever it was.
Yeah, I think that's so true. Another part of the artistic journey or the artistic identity that we all have to grapple with is the concept of failure. And I know that I've been thinking about the concept of failure and what the word even failure means, because you can look at it in so many different ways. But I'm wondering, how has a failure or maybe apparent failure set you up for later success? And do you maybe have a favorite failure of yours?
Well, it's great. I love making friends with the word, with any word. It's a little scary. So failure is, I mean, hearing you frame it that way just now, I thought, well, maybe failure is you didn't meet that standard at that time under those conditions.
Yeah.
So what? I mean, if somebody else did meet it, that makes it all the more inapplicable to you as something that should make you feel bad.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing that one of the things I discovered during the pandemic is I want everybody to be happy. Because if I sit around happy and everybody else is miserable, that's no fun.
What's the point?
At all, believe me.
Yeah.
You want everybody to have their dreams come true. And all you have to do is allow for that. It actually is possible. It's something that you have to consciously allow for, is to just kind of allow everybody to be happy. And then you realize that there's some real freedom and a beautiful thing in that, because then you're happy too. And then you're all just having a good time together. Because happy people just have a good time. We don't really argue or complain about too much stuff.
That's
Just
right.
kind of, things are kind of copacetic. So, but how we get happy, I mean, how I get happy is to go back to the work. And you only get so happy when you're an artist. You always feel kind of dissatisfied. There's always one thing that you wish you would have changed, no matter what it is. And once you make peace with that and you realize that, first of all, there's freedom in not being special. You're not special. Everybody experiences this. It's a little bit of, it's an ego drop. But when you realize, when you get that being not special is a good thing.
Yeah.
You don't have to call attention to yourself for any reason at all except for your art. So you don't have to be special about an addiction or special about some kind of neurosis or being late, like used to be my thing. We don't do it consciously.
Right.
So the way that you get special is by being the best you can be. So I might look at Joni Mitchell and go, or even Taylor Swift and go, oh my God, I wish I could be like that person,
Right.
But my job is to be the best Alice that I can be. And that's my job that nobody else can do.
Amazing. Just putting that out there.
You look like a painting right now. You look so beautiful. Wow.
Oh my
Whatever you
gosh.
got, good. I love the lace. Yeah.
Thank you. Outfit credit goes to my mom. Shout out to
Nice.
my mom.
Oh,
Thank you.
good. I love that your mom's helping you. Good. You need that
Yeah.
influence.
But yes,
Thanks, Mom.
I mean, shout out to Mom. You're so right that there's a certain freedom that comes from releasing the need to be special, I think. Would you say that's true?
Yeah, at first when I read that in the Course in Miracles, that was the first time I saw that idea. I remember thinking, please, what's wrong with being special? What's wrong with having a special person or a special? But you realize that it takes it takes you off the hook because you don't have to feel extra pain or extra disillusionment. We will feel those things, but you can dismantle them. You can get around them. It is possible. It takes a lot of work, but it's worth it. And it's actually our job because we need to be able to look at all of our feelings like three decks of cards, like they have Vegas. You just look at all the feelings. And then you look at the negative ones and you go, I love you. And then you go, get the hell out of here. And then you look at the positive ones and you focus on them.
Yeah.
And as you focus on life and you live life, life happens. Don't worry. Other shadows will come in. You can get rid of those. You don't have to hang on to anything. And it's not easy because we do it because it's familiar.
Right.
And the pain is familiar. It's not necessarily a bad thing to be in pain if it's familiar. But we can liberate ourselves from that. And it's important to do that because we need to be kind of super people when we're artists. We need to be kind of capable of it all.
Yeah.
Including mastering our own hang-ups and our own family patterns that have created coping mechanisms that might be getting in the way with us now as adults,
Right.
When you know that you're not the only one, you might not need to go to a 28-day thing. You might just need to wake up one day and go, okay, I just need to do my taxes today. I'll be okay. Like do the wash,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's my mom. Hi, Mom.
Oh, there she is. Oh
There
my
she
gosh. This is the
is.
person responsible for you. She deserves a medal.
Yes. Oh
Some
my
kind of
gosh.
like medal or like a sash that says I'm Kelsey's
Yeah,
mom.
a big crown maybe.
Maybe, yeah, why not? I mean, every mom should get a
Yeah.
crown. Do you realize, we'll talk, what she went through to give birth to you? Okay.
I probably don't
She
realize
made a person, okay? She
did.
deserves like the ultimate prize. I think that's
true.
amazing.
But yeah.
So wait, a failure. Okay, so you're asking me for a specific failure.
Yes.
The thing is, I don't really see things as failures. I see them as opportunities.
Yeah.
It sounds like somebody told me to say that, but they didn't.
But what you were saying before, I think ties in directly to this is like a failure for you maybe is just that you maybe didn't, reach that one bar at those certain circumstances in that time, but maybe someone else did. Mm-hmm. And so it's a success for them and something else might be a success for you.
So exactly. So in the world of philosophy, like the signs you see on the train, philosophy works. Study us and you will be happier. If somebody else won, is it anything a failure? I don't think so.
No.
Because if if somebody gets cast in some show and you didn't get it, well, they're perfect for that role. So that can't be bad. It's a
Yeah.
good thing. And when somebody gets perfectly cast in something that they really want, that people are going to enjoy, it just means that if you know about it, you're that much closer to getting what you want.
Right.
I
Right.
really believe that. It's not just something that we do where we post a positive affirmation and put it in a post-it on the mirror and look at it. That's not a bad thing to do, but that's not what this is about. This
Right.
is about real. It's real. It's like, you're happy for that person because when you're happy for that person, they're happy for you. And that means that you got something. That's just the way that it works.
Yeah.
The way that the laws of the universe work.
And
So
when you let go of the negative feelings around that opportunity that you missed or didn't get, then you free yourself to be fully available to the next opportunity that might be the right one for
exactly, because
you.
the
Yeah.
thing is, Kelsey, none of us get to live out of time. Not even
Right.
Beyonce. Okay, like you look at somebody like Christy Brinkley, and I go, or Bernadette Peters, and I'm like, how do they stay this so beautiful? They only have the same amount of hours that the rest of us do.
I
They still
know.
have to do all of the rudimentary things that we humans have to do. Nobody gets out of that.
I know.
The things that make a household run, that makes a family work, that makes your body work. So how do you use the hours in the day is a good question, because even though it's an illusion we've all agreed to, it's still real to us now.
Right.
And everybody gets 24 hours. So how can you use that to your advantage? Meaning, look at it like a good thing. Like you get to start over every day and think about these things I'm telling you. Like, yeah, it's true that Beyonce gets the same amount of hours every day that I do. Dang, man, I better start doing something, get up a little early or whatever, because
Right.
anything's possible. And people are given certain gifts, but it's what you do with those gifts. Audrey
Yeah.
McDonald didn't just come out of the womb, just Audrey McDonald. She spent her life
Yeah.
becoming Audrey McDonald, the person that just blows my mind when she starts singing, because I
Oh
can't
my
even tell
gosh.
anybody did anything. Like there's no movement and the sound comes out. I
Yeah.
have to believe, and I don't really know her. I'm really just a fan, but I have to believe that her family said, good job, keep going.
Yeah.
They had to have done that to her, because otherwise, look, she had
Yeah.
lots of reasons to quit probably along the way, just like the rest of
Right.
us.
Right.
And so it is important, the environment that you keep yourself in. If you're a student, back to that same question.
Yeah.
If it's a roommate situation, or it's in your head or something online, just pay attention to that, because we want to be really um, uh, strict, kind of like very disciplined about where we allow ourselves to reside,
Yeah.
because we carry all that with us.
Have you always known that, or have you always carried that mindset, that sort of positive
I
forward thinking
learned that. I
mindset?
mean, I've been studying growth and self-help since I was a teenager, and always been interested and I just learned that over the course of all these decades of you just kind of like, you pull it in, you kind of draw the reins. And if you've ever ridden a horse, first thing they teach you is to put your heels down, put your
Yep.
elbows in and down, and your wrists down, and your thumbs on top, because that's going to give you, if anything goes haywire, that's the prime position to be in control.
Yeah.
And so it does kind of feel, and it's funny that I'm going back to that horse riding thing, because I did learn how to ride when I was a
I
kid.
love it. I grew up riding horses too, so it
I used
totally
to
speaks to
compete. I mean, I
me.
didn't get crazy, I didn't get fancy, but I used to do some shows, some competitions. And
Yes.
so I used to always describe, when I was growing up in my 30s and 40s, when I really started to work a lot in New York, is people would ask me how I did it, and I'd think, when I was a teenager, I put blinders on, which is another thing that horses do. And and I also talk about horseback riding when I think about practice.
Ah.
It's not necessarily true that it's crazy if you do the same thing over and over again and expect a different result. That's not necessarily true, because that's exactly what practice is.
Right.
You're just getting closer to perfect.
Yeah.
You have to do the same page over and over and over, and I mean, your neighbors will kill you if they don't like it. I would love to live next to a piano player. But you're just practicing scales. Tell me that's not the same thing over and over. So, words are very deceptive. You can believe what you want to believe about them. So when it comes to that axiom, it's not necessarily true. I kind of go, yeah, you know what you're talking about. Because if you want to learn this etude, you have to practice it 100 times for the next month or whatever, and you'll get a little bit closer to being perfect. You're doing the same thing every time.
The horse ring too. You have your little what your moves that you're supposed to do, your choreography, and you practice that in the arena. I mean, it's the same concept, right?
It's a show.
Yeah.
And so the thing about horseback riding I like to bring up with my students when I'm teaching singing technique is, after you're somewhat like through the beginner phase of learning how to ride a horse, you've already integrated the second nature part of it. Like you would never get on a horse without a hard sole shoe.
Right.
You would never get on a horse without your heels down immediately. Right. Whether you're riding Western or English. You would never get on a horse and let your elbows go like this and be Barney Fife. I mean, because you're going to fall off. Right. And you learn how to grip with your thighs. And so if you're English, you learn how to post with the right shoulder. Yeah. So once you learn how to do this automatically, then all this other space opens up for you to then do something else that's more challenging. But it's only because you've got this rudiment of the discipline of I always keep my elbows in. Yeah. Otherwise, I'm going to fall off the horse. Right. So so that foundation is there. And so when you talk about Lin-Manuel, I'm just imagining him getting up at 6 a.m. every morning and going to the little closet somewhere so he doesn't disturb his family and getting out his headphones and doing the rudiments of playing that song again. Yeah. Looking at those lyrics again. I mean, it really does get tedious. Like when I rehearse for an audition or like this one woman play I'm doing, it's called The Pink Unicorn. It's an hour and a half of a monologue. It's a monologue that lasts an hour and a half. Wow. It makes Nocturne look like nothing. Like it's easy. And so when I do that, I mean, my neighbors think that I'm crazy. Yes. Yeah. But you have to do it over. And my neighbors think I'm Henry Darger. Over and over and over and over and over and over. And it's like, if you don't have a stage manager going or a dance captain going again, you'll probably quit because you're like, this is ridiculous. Yeah. But you think about polishing. Yeah. Polishing a surface, those rocks that you throw into the rock machine in the 70s when I was a kid, and they would tumble and tumble and they'd come out like glass. Mm-hmm. This is one of my first things I designed, but when I go online and I design something, I spend most of the whole process going over, making sure that things are lined up and they're in focus, and you could do it over, you go over it with a fine-tooth comb because once it's out there. And so there's a lot of work involved there. Let's jump into that. Let's jump into that work. If you like to do nails, do the best manicure on your block, really get your own technique going and let people know about it, because people want to support artists, but you do have to let them know what you have to offer. And right now you can barter, you can exchange goods instead of exchanging, Venmo. But I love when it goes, ka-ching, when Cash App goes ching, and it does the cash register. Because we're so used to hunting down checks because that guy never paid me, but those days are over, I guess. I love it.
I guess so. I hope so.
Instant money.
Yeah.
So I guess the biggest failure, I guess I could say that it's like a public failure, was doing a show that lasted 2 months. I mean, you can kind of admit, people actually went out and called it a flop. Ugh. Sideshow. I would go, okay, if you're going to call... If you're going to call Sideshow a flop, you're a flop, basically. Yes! What have you done lately? Because Sideshow is anything but a flop. The revival, we can have cocktails or whatever. We'll talk about what I thought of the revival. But
we'll talk about that at happy hour.
I guess it's a flop because we didn't make a whole bunch of money. But is that really what this is about? The answer is no. Yeah. There's so many reasons why that show was a hit.
Yeah.
There was so many reasons
to be relevant. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's something about the original core material that's undeniable. It's like when you say that Next to Normal won the Pulitzer, you can't argue with that. No. It's not debatable. We won and that one didn't win. That's the end of the subject. And there's a real, like, there's a reason why you win a run the Pulitzer too, I think. Rent won it.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to say. Rent won the Pulitzer. I think it has to like make a difference in
Yeah.
everybody's life somehow. Like there's a ripple effect
Yeah.
that goes, look at me. I'm
Yeah.
dealing with something in a way that needs to be seen. And with Rent, it was AIDS and the HIV, I think, and just the whole idea of La Boheme. And then with Next to Normal, it was about mental illness and you know, how you define that and what that is. And
Yeah.
it had never been dealt with in that way. And so
And
I
how
think
you
that's how you get
navigate
that
it.
prize. Yeah. They
Yeah.
kind of go, wow,
Yeah.
that's different. They did a
Yeah.
good job with that.
Yeah, it's things that are perceived as flops. It's like, to me that doesn't make sense, especially when like in the cultural reality. I mean, Sideshow is so far from a quote unquote flop. That makes no sense to me.
I think that like people that want to call Carrie a flop or Sideshow a flop, I mean,
Right.
Moose Murders was a flop, okay?
I don't even know
That
what
was a
that is.
flop. That's
So
something nobody ever wants to see again. It lasted 4 days. You know, I think the word flop comes up because somebody wants to market it,
yeah.
but it doesn't do anybody any favors because there are very few things I think you can call a flop. I think a flop is defined by nobody gave a shit about, excuse my friend, nobody cared about this at all.
Yeah.
I mean, that's far from what Sideshow defined.
Yeah.
I think that it actually set the stage for other shows, and the score is legendary. And
Yes.
I think because they got a deal with Sony Masterworks and we made a cast album during preview. I'm talking about the first production, obviously, during previews. And if we hadn't done that, I don't think the revival would have existed. Nobody would have heard the score
Right.
because it wouldn't have existed. We take that for granted now,
Yeah.
you know, because it is kind of, it's a lot cheaper to make digital music now.
Yeah.
But we were really lucky to get a deal with Sony Masterworks, and they recorded most of the show. They had to cut some of it because the show's pretty much sung through, so they cut some of the recitative. But I think that's why the revival existed.
Yeah.
So is it a flop? Maybe not, because look at all the people that the revival turned on to the show and turned on to musical theater in general, and the people in the show. There are probably people that want to write music now because of that revival, and then they discovered the original show later. And to me, that's like a gold mine.
Yeah, to me
You
as
know,
well. I mean,
for
Sideshow,
us.
listening to the original soundtrack was how I originally was introduced to you. So, I mean, on a personal
Wow.
level, it's just like, I can't imagine not having Sideshow. I mean, I was obsessed with that show. So, yeah,
Oh, that's so
everyone
sweet.
has different perspectives, but I definitely agree with you.
I mean, that if I had to choose a failure, I guess it would be maybe a show that didn't run for more than 2 months. But also, like, you know, I've been married twice. So do you see that as a fail? Do I see that as a failure, or is it something that's just part of the storyline? I mean, I think it's okay for relationships to have an expiration date too. To think that
Yeah.
it lasts forever is really, it's not that it's not possible, but
Right.
it's not everybody has to do it that way in order to feel like
Right.
they're doing it right. I think a relationship is about what's right now, like what we're doing right now. And the
Yeah.
people that are listening that we can't see, but like hopefully they're enjoying us just discovering the humanity of what we're talking about, you know, because
Yeah.
that's really what theater's about. People want to see
Yes,
themselves
it is.
revealed, so that like that third person perspective gives you strength to go, maybe I should look at this in myself.
The stuff that's
And
not so
somebody like
easy to look
Diana
at.
and Next to Normal, or the Hilton sisters, they were real. But Diana is, you know, people like to define Diana as being real. Diana Goodman, but Diana Goodman is a heroine because she's so rare. She survives
Yeah.
several suicide attempts, you know. I mean, she survives so much and comes out intact at the end. And that's why she's a heroine, because she shows us how it's possible, how you can get through all of that.
Yeah.
She says it is, and still emerge with the song So Anyway, where you have a suitcase and you're telling Dan, if I don't leave right now, I'm going to die.
Yeah.
So I'm going to leave so I can come back for you later.
Yeah.
You know, and that takes a great a beautiful awareness. And most people would love to be able to get there, but we can't get there yet.
Right.
So Diane is a heroine. She shows she shows us how it can be done,
Yeah.
how it could be done, that you do have to go through hell, but you can emerge.
Right. Ooh, chills.
Right? I mean,
yeah.
because that story is more common than anybody wants to even look at and understand. It doesn't have to be, mom under the dining room table smashing china, or your stepdad throwing the dog in a pillowcase and throwing him in the lake.
Right.
You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be that bad for you to feel like you're in hell.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things we need to allow ourselves, is that everybody has to emerge from some kind of mental debris, and it's not up to us or anybody else to judge that. It's really, really important for us to regard it with a space to heal and to try to understand. But it can be hard sometimes because, people, sometimes you'll get somebody who's trying to manipulate you into feeling sorry for them or giving them more than they. So it's not easy.
No.
But I think that it helps if we just talk about it. So a show like Next to Normal just gets it in the conversation that it's okay to feel angry or confused. You don't know what to do, and we don't know what to do after you feel confused, and that's okay.
Right.
Somehow, if we all remember that we all go through it, we find a solution together.
And it becomes survivable. Hi, Presley. Such an amazing interview.
Hi, Presley. Thanks for being here. We're happy that you're here.
Alice, you have just bestowed upon us so many
How
truth
can it have been an
bombs.
hour already? That's
I know.
crazy.
I'm looking at the clock and I'm like, whoa, that time absolutely flies. Thank you so much for taking the time to join me on the show. I really can't express how much it means to me. I've been so excited all week. And it was so wonderful having you on the show. Thank you.
I was really excited too, Kelsey, and you're so welcome. I want to bring back your welcome. I want to bring back wearing gloves, just even when it's not cold, and saying you're welcome, because your welcome is the other side of the communication process. It shows you that I heard you. But I only half kid. But thank you, Kelsey. I looked forward this week too, even though we had never met. And you have a really clean, beautiful energy to your email. I know it sounds crazy, but it's true. So thanks for making this a delight, because sometimes they're a little bit more difficult than others, these kinds of things. But this was really fun. I can't believe it's been an hour already. That's crazy.
I know. We went way over the scheduled time, but it was too good, and I was enthralled.
I'm so glad. And you know what? I'm happy to do it anytime you want to. We'll wait a few months and we can talk again. What do you think?
Great. That sounds good. For anyone who's watching, if you want to follow Alice or see what she's up to, and also for the merch, her garments that she's creating, you can see them on Instagram.
Why not?
At Ripley the Band, and then also on Facebook, right, Alice? That's your
Facebook is Drastic Alice.
Okay, perfect.
And Ripley the Band is my Twitter. And I actually talked to somebody on Twitter and made her some masks. Masks are really popular right now, but also hoodies. I don't know. I feel like putting a hoodie on. It's getting cold, and they're so soft, and they fit just right. It's kind of a slim men's cut, so for women, it's just right. It kind of covers your hips, but it's not boxy, because we want to look good even though we're in quarantine.
We sure do, and even though we're cozy. Yes.
We are, yeah.
Okay, well, thank you
again.
I
can't believe we have to stop. You're so welcome.
I know.
Thanks for having me.
This was just wonderful. It made my whole month having you on. Thank you.
Me too. I feel like I had a great day because it ended this way. And, we can talk in a couple months. And I want to say thank you to everybody in the audience who's been tuning in. We love you. Without you, we'd just be talking to ourselves. We'd still do it, but it wouldn't be as interesting.
But it's way more fun to have. And the comments, too. Thank you for everyone who tuned in. We really appreciate it.
Okay.
So we'll see you later, Alice. Thank you.
Good night, everybody. Much love to you. Stay safe.
Oh my gosh. I don't know about you, but I'm absolutely mind blown from that interview. I'm going to take like 2 weeks to just hibernate and process everything that Alice said. The Church of Alice. Yes, Dale. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for everyone who was in the comments. I really appreciate you tuning in, and I hope you really enjoyed that interview. I know I did. That was like mind-blowing. So yeah, we'll see you next week with another guest, and happy weekend. Take care.